Y- Yes. How you doing?
Man, do you see a big face on the screen? Off.
I see a giant face of you behind you. That's really good. I need to know how to do that.
Mm-hmm. I feels right now. I'm just messing. What's up?
I'm doing good. Now, is that Atlanta? I'm sure you're from Atlanta, but what team is that?
The Braves, man.
The Braves. Okay, okay.
Braves.
That is good. Well, I appreciate you joining in. It's one of the things that we've been doing over the past couple of months. Really, is celebrating our favorite groups from the '90s, especially those who are still making music now and still touring. I saw a video of you guys here in London last year, pre-COVID, and I saw how the fans were just going crazy with when they were joining you guys singing along. You sang Weak, you sang I Like, you sang Surrender, you sang the songs, and the fans were really going wild. So it's really great because a lot of our fans are wondering, we haven't seen Cut Close for a long time, so it'd be great, to go back a little bit about the beginning, but then also understand what's happening now. I know you've got a new single, celebrations. Sorry, congratulations. So
Congratulations. Yeah.
congratulations. But yeah, can we going back to the beginning because we've got an international audience. So I believe you're from Atlanta, but is that where the three of you are from?
Well, actually, nobody is from Atlanta.
Okay, nice
No
correction.
one is from Atlanta. The group basically got together in Atlanta, so
Okay.
that's where the group is from. But individually, we are from completely different states. I'm from Michigan. Athena's from Kentucky, and Lavonn is from Alabama.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, we're pretty widespread, right?
Yeah, I went to school in Selma, Alabama, so I lived in Alabama for a while.
Yeah,
Okay, and
boring
then
state, very boring state.
it
You
it,
know,
it has its moments, and then I went to university in Wisconsin. But okay, so but you've Tabitha, where did you get to music? Where did you start singing?
I guess when I felt like I could sound good to myself when I started singing. I mean, people think they can sing but really can't sing. But my family was pretty musically inclined, so I come from a family of a lot of musicians, a lot of singers, or whatever. Gospel wise, my dad's a bishop, so I'm a PK. I'm a preacher's kid.
Oh,
So
Bishop.
I grew up
Wow.
in church. Yeah, I grew up in church. I just happened to be the prodigal daughter instead of the son. I went away and ain't came back yet. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
So, I started in church, and my parents and my family is a pretty big family. It's 15 of us. So we
15,
had something. Yeah, it's 15 of us.
two parents and 13 kids.
There's 9 boys and 6 girls.
Oh, 15 children.
Yes,
Wow.
15 children. So we had a little Duncan's group or whatever. I thought that I was going to get up and start singing with my other brothers and sisters, but I was a little young, I guess. So
Okay.
they was like, "You too young, sit down." And I was like, oh, I was so upset. I sat down in the pew and I folded my arms. I was like, you just wait. I was crying. It really made me sit down. I was little. I mean, how do you make a little person sit down? And in church, they basically give you a shot to do anything. If
Yeah.
you want to get up and sing, okay, sing, baby. Go on and sing, baby. Nah, they was like, sit down, you too young. So I sat down, on that fateful Sunday, and I folded my arms when I sat down in a seat and I said, you just wait. I'll show you. Just wait. So I think it lit the fire. That's the first thing that I can remember when
Yeah.
someone told me that I couldn't do something that I really wanted to do. And I
Yeah.
wanted to really prove to them that I could.
Wow. And
So
so,
it stayed dormant for a little while.
yeah, but then when did that rekindle?
Well, when I got a chance to do stuff on my own and no one had the right to say no. And so a lot of it started to come out in high school, you
Okay.
know, when I was able to make decisions and, be in gospel choir and stuff like that, and get in the school choir, and people tell me, like, you can sing, what I'm saying? I needed some validation. Of course I was in the choir, but
Yeah.
my sister was over the choir. So I was never really able to lead a song or anything like that to, see if I could, if I was different than other people. And
Yeah.
so she would be like, you sound like a little girl. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't have titties yet. So I am a little girl. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So they never gave me the opportunity. So in school, in high school, I was able to prove what I could do and then give me a fair assessment on who I was as a singer or whatever. So they gave me some shots, you know what I mean? I got a chance to sing No Bad News and gospel choir, you know, from the Wiz. We had a little, you know, musical and stuff. And, you know, I got the whiff of, you know, people appreciating my talent instead of my family kind of shooting me down a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when I graduated high school at 18, I left home. You know, because I felt like our upbringing was very strict and I wasn't able to be myself.
Yeah.
And so I needed to create a life outside of my family because we were very structured into religion and very strict, you know what I'm saying? So it kind of helped me break away, to be honest. You know, your parents try to teach you the right way, but really if you put something too much on a child, it kind of pushes them a different way. You know what I mean? Okay. And I'm a living witness of that, you know, so I left home, you know, with a boyfriend at the time, you know, forfeited a lot of, you know, just things that I had for college. And you know what I mean? I had signed up to, you know, go to Indiana State. I was going to run track there, you know what I mean? And so it just, you know, it never transpired because I felt like I needed to find out who I was. And I wanted to be away from family because it was too much of a structured thing that, you know, put me in a position that I didn't want to be in. I wanted to be myself. Yeah. And so I left and I moved to Atlanta. And I came here and we worked with my boyfriend at the time, you know, who helped me put Kut Klose together. So he was very musically inclined. He was actually in a gospel group in Indianapolis. And he moved down here because he had a high school friend or a childhood friend, which was Kenneth Babyface Edmonds, you know. So when we moved to Atlanta, we worked for him, you know, as a personal assistant, you know, for him. Okay. And so my boyfriend could write songs, he could sing. He was singing with Face back in the day in high school and stuff like that. So they had a lot of, you know, things that they had in common. And so he formed a production company that basically Face wanted to sign to his production team, his publishing company. Okay. That they initially turned down because, you know, once you find out, you know, people try to, you know, small game you, you know what I'm saying? You find somebody else who really something like that happened to me that, you know, gave them more solidification as far as, you know, their talent and gave them more money. So they took that instead of Face, you know what I mean? But still, it was a stepping stone for me to be in the business in the way where it showed me different things where it's like, my singing, I can do this. And, you know, and then being from one jail when it came down to my parents to another jail, because with him, it was another jail. I just didn't know it yet. And I was like, oh man, yo, I can't know, sir.
Okay. But
try to like tie me down too. I was like, man, nah, bro.
Yeah, but if we go back, so I think because you said you left home when you were 18, and I think you know, those of us who don't live in America probably see a lot of that on TV and people leaving home. But practically, what does that really mean? Did you just say to your parents, "That's it, you know, guys, I love you, my family, brothers and sisters, but I'm going to move away," or did you just not show up one day and they went looking for you?
Well, you know, my family was very strict. I mean, very, very strict. I couldn't listen to secular music, you know. So there was no Michael Jackson or any kind of different music other than gospel in my house. It was banned. We would get our behind spanked for that. You get a spanking, you know what I'm saying? So we weren't able to really flourish in the way that we wanted to. We had to be our parents, you know? Yeah. So that really pushed me to find myself. Yeah. Because, you know, with so much restrictions, you know, I couldn't even wear pants, you know what I mean? Wow. And so I was really good at track and field. And so, you know, you can't wear a skirt running, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, my parents just had so many, you know, children and so many other things. My dad had the church and everything. He wasn't really able to be, you know, one-on-one with us, you know, and different things, but he knew that I was good at track and field. Okay. And so when he'd go see me, I'd run in the skirt, but he ain't never know, you know, that was like in elementary. I'm like, come on, Dad, it's not like that in high school. But when I got onto the team and I was on varsity, like all 4 years of my high school career, I was on varsity. And so when I would go to track meets, you know, I'd have to wear my skirt over my pants, you know, which is going to practice. But I'm like, you think I kept that on, dude? You know what I'm saying? But my parents never came. They never came to see me until my senior year in high school. And I was 18 already. So you couldn't tell me to get off the team because I was like, whatever. I don't have, you know, legally here in the United States, 18, you're an adult. Okay. You know, whether you have graduated high school or not. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you can't make me get off the team, you know, if you try to, you know. He's like, what are you doing with that on? I was like, come on, Dad, you really thought that I, you know, wore a skirt out here, dude? Like, you know what I'm saying? But that was the first time he ever came to see me, was when I was a senior. So it really wasn't much he could do about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I graduated, and you know, they were so rough, and, you know, on a lot of things, you know, I got in trouble doing some things I shouldn't have done, you know. And well, you know, according to parents, but, you know, it's just teenage years. You know, went to sleep and were on the phone. I shouldn't have been on the phone. You know what I mean? I got in trouble, and this is what really made me feel like I needed to leave the house. You know, when I got, you know, I woke up to a belt. You know what I'm saying? I was like, seriously, dude? I'm like 17 years old. I mean, nah, bro, no, sir. Because at this time, when you're 17, you're at the stage in your frame of mind where you don't do stuff like that. Because at this point in time, children, you know, hit you back.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because, I mean, it's not, at a certain age, people need to stop spanking children.
Yeah.
Because then you provoke them to wrath, and you don't want that. You don't want that, because they're human, and there have been, you know what I'm saying, kids to do wrong to their parents. And I'm not saying that I ever was in that position, but you got to be careful when, you know, you kind of make those kinds of moves. But it did force me to leave the house very, very quickly. So when I graduated high school, I never went back. I stayed with my sisters. I never went back to my parents' house.
Oh, your sisters were married, so you could stay with them. It wasn't okay. So.
Right. But it didn't matter, because when I graduated, it was like in 91. I graduated in June. By August, I was gone. I was living I came to Atlanta, Georgia. I moved here.
Wow.
And I've been gone ever since with my boyfriend, you know. But then I just didn't know I was dipping into another jail. But I broke from that too, when I allowed him to understand that I needed my own life. And, you know, I formed Kut Klose because I really love TLC. You know what I mean? Because TLC looked like they were sisters. It looked like they had fun, and I envied that. I wanted it in my life. I just had me and him, and I'm like, oh, I'm in another jail. And he was much older than me. So I didn't really get a chance to, you know, kind of like spread my wings, because he was very possessive in that way, you know.
Yeah, you said he was older, because I'm thinking about Face being quite older in the deal, so that could explain why he was his friend. I'm thinking, wow, that either you were that old or he was old, but you said he was much older. So you
almost 20 years older than me. Almost.
Okay, yeah, so that kind of stuff makes sense. So you guys moved to Atlanta. He says, I'm going to, I know Babyface. Now, this was 91, so he would have come out with Boomerang. Did you know that, wow, we're going to meet up with Babyface and he could sign you, or what was the plan? Was it just...
Well, I mean, that wasn't really, it wasn't really my intention to be in the music industry like that. Although I had, you know, written some songs and sang some demos, it wasn't really nothing that I, you know, thought that I was going to do until I got to a crossroads of, you know, figuring out my life. And I couldn't just be there and be somebody's girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? I needed to find myself. And so that was just the way. And I did have that talent, and I was interested in it, but I was always nonchalant, because people kind of told me, you know, that I wasn't really, you know, good enough to be, you know, what I was, you know, so I kind of like shied away from it, the spotlight per se. And so I never really wanted to be a lead singer like that anyway, to some extent, or, you know, a solo person. And I say that because most people start out wanting to be solo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was looking for more for the, you know, affection of sisterhood. You know what I'm saying? And knowing that I did have a talent, but I wanted something that was mine. You know what I mean? And so I used all of the gifts that God gave me. And this is where I ended up. You know, I created Kut Klose, and, you know, knew some people in Indianapolis. Obviously, I lived there before. I moved from Michigan to Indianapolis when I was 14. And so there's some people that I knew in Indianapolis that gave me Athena's demo. And I heard her demo and was like, do you want to come to Atlanta? Because I was, you know, explaining to her what I was trying to do. And so she was like, sure. She was, you know, trying to, you know, get a deal herself. She was in college, you know. And so she came down, and, you know, we met and we clicked immediately. Like on the phone, we clicked immediately. So when we actually met up in person, it was like a done deal. And her freaking doggone tone was so off the chain to me. I just fell in love with her voice immediately, you know.
Yeah. No,
we had another girl in the group.
No, yeah, but before you jump to that though, because you know, this is quite interesting, because most people form a band when they're in high school, you know, especially the musicians. But you were saying that you thought about. You said TLC were the ones that inspired you at the time?
Yes, TLC, you know, they had that sisterhood that I wanted. I wanted to make that for me. You know?
And at this time, though, with the connection with your boyfriend making waves and stuff, did you then have the sort of the business acumen set up? Like, okay, we're gonna get a group, we're gonna be signed up, we know what we're doing. Or what was it? What were you thinking at those very early stages?
Well, I was kind of behind the scenes in a lot of ways, you know what I'm saying? So I saw how things were formulated. I saw how things were being made and how it was done in order for, you know, me to find my own formula and you know, try it out. You know what I'm saying? Because I was around, obviously, LaFace and LaFace Records and all that stuff. I was around when Usher, he was like 12 then, you know what I'm saying? Very young, you know? So I was around when all that was coming up, you know? So I got a lot of information.
Okay, you're back.
Sorry, I got a lot of information. You know, just, you know, being around. You know what I'm saying? So, when I put the group together, he was already dealing with a lot of people because he had gotten a publishing deal with his production team, HOP, that Babyface wanted to sign. And since he was my boyfriend, I had fair game and everything. You know what I'm saying? And so I just used him to my advantage, you know, to make a life for myself. Instead of being underneath the roof or element of somebody else's, you know, umbrella, you know what I mean? And so I had to branch out and, you know, he helped me. And so he was working with Keith Sweat. He was working with Face and, you know, a lot of different people in the business because they had a publishing deal. So they was getting their stuff played, you know, to different people and was working on different people. And sent our, you know, we got a package together, you know, took pictures when Lavonn first came into the picture because she came in after another girl was in there. But Lavonn came through with someone that was looking to be in another group that Keith wanted to sign before, but they had already members already. So Keith was interested in a different girl group before I came along, and I knew who the girls were because of the production company. That was we were all friends. Okay. So when I got my group together, I told my boyfriend, I was like, "You think you can take us to Keith?" Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, come on, survival of the fittest.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, you know, he squeezes in there. He was like, all right, you know, he's like, Darcy gonna be mad. I'm like, hey, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is, Pimpy. You know what I'm saying? Life is what it is. And we just figure out, throw it out there and see if people just pick the cards. And so Keith heard us and he was like, can they sing? I mean, they cute, baby. Because he's heard us sing, they cute. He said, can you bring them over to the studio? So, you know, we came over to the studio the next day, auditioned, would get up on it. And that day, he told us he wanted to sign us.
Did you already have Get Up On It written?
He had Get Up On It written.
Okay, and he wanted you guys to sing it and then perform in front of him. Okay.
Right. So we basically, he gave us the backgrounds to sing. We got in the booth, and we were singing, you know, to Get Up On It. And so it was his song.
Yeah.
You know. And he just basically added us to it when we started, you know what I'm saying? That's how we auditioned for him, was singing Get Up On It.
Wow.
And that's how we started. And we was like, all right, that's going to be the song that's going to drop, that's going to introduce us.
So, okay. So now at this point now, did you then say, okay, you've got the three of you guys together. The name itself, who came up with the name? Because Keith...
No, the name was mine too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of built my own little, you know, thing and just took it to him. He didn't really come up with much, you know, when it comes down to Kut Klose per se. But we did have to change our name because our name was not Kut Klose at first. It was Nubian 3.
Okay.
Because we were an urban contemporary gospel group at first. We were not a secular group. And, you know, because I still wanted to please my father. You know, I still had those things in me that I wanted to, you know, I didn't want my dad to be disappointed in me. You know, I'm a daddy's girl. And so I tried to keep some of what was taught, you know, and make it like BB and CC Winans, because, you know, you could have songs that could be for God or for, you know, relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when we got with Keith, you know what I'm saying? You already know what that joke is. The bed dude about, you know what I'm saying? Talking about the bed sores, man. Can I get about this bed, dude? What you doing, man?
Yeah.
So when we got with Keith, we were saying, get up on it. And I was like, see, what had happened was,
Yeah. That's just the industry. Yeah, it takes you by surprise.
My dad wasn't happy. Let's just say that.
But then at that time, then when you guys were signing with Keith, did you, because you were working at LaFace, so you knew the background stuff, and your boyfriend at the time had the publishing stuff. Did you then know about the paperwork, you know, to make sure that, you know, you guys aren't just going to be singing and nothing comes back to you guys? Did you know?
Well, I did know about the paperwork.
Did or didn't?
But I did.
You did, okay.
But
Here's the but.
You're not gonna get everything you want.
Okay.
I mean, come on. You think you're gonna come up in here green as a doggone green bean, that you gonna come and get everything you want? Nah, bro, it don't work like that.
Okay.
So everybody has to pay their dues in some kind of way. You know, it's going out there trying to be in a boxing fight and never get hit.
Mm.
You know, so we thought that we could avoid certain things because we knew more. But nah, bro, one hook is gonna catch you sooner or later. You know what I'm saying? It's a straight doggone Tomb Raider. You know what I mean? You get caught in something. Something gonna cut your neck off, your leg, knee, something is going. You gonna miss some kind of limb coming back limping. You know what I mean? So we tried to avoid as much as we could and get our own little, lawyer and stuff. It was like, well, we got our own lawyer, so they ain't gonna be able to get over. Man, this, this business, everybody know everybody in here now.
Yeah.
We're the only ones that didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on, man. You think people don't know who you know, dude? That these days you better watch your mouth anyway, because you just never know who know who.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we thought that we had the right lawyer, but nah, bro, we got into a hell of a situation because we signed a 7-album deal. So a 7-album deal, that's a lot. No one releases an album a year. So basically that's almost 14, 15 years. That's if you release one album every 2 years.
Yeah.
And most people sit on the shelf for a couple, years before you even start working on the album. When you're talking about being on the roster like Electra, I mean, you know what I mean? We had a lot of people out there, but still, everybody had to wait. And I'm like, to sign that many years of your life away to anybody, if it ain't gonna be your husband, is foolish.
But did you have a choice at that point? Of
course, we always have choices, but we just ate it because we thought we could do better the next time around. Well, if we do better, we can change the contract next time around.